They said, okay, are you going to stay in America? And I said, I don't know. I may just go back to Spain, continue doing movies there and theater. And if you stay, you're going to be the bad guy. They said, it was that specific 80s Pedro Almodóvar. Even for actors like me, it took us a little bit of time to totally understand his style, his creativity, the way that he wanted to tell stories, because it was coming out of what we normally saw on the screen. By the time that we hit Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, I already got Law of Desire, Matador, and Women on the Verge, and some of the movies that we did together. I saw the reactions of the people. I learned how to understand him and how to play for that style that I had to rediscover 22 years after. And he has changed by the time that I went back to him as a director. But at that time, he was a very colorful man, very courageous, that goes to the point immediately, that doesn't like to drag himself into things that are not important for him. He's very precise, very much in control of every department. He was director, but he was director of art, he was director of photography, he was everywhere all the time, the colors, everything that he did was under his control, including also the way that he used to work with actors. We actors, we have to actually translate him. The person that better translate him was Carmen Maura. I remember talking more with Carmen Maura than with Pedro, in order to understand what Pedro wanted from me. It was harder at the beginning of that movie, I remember. Almodóvar was not in one of his best moments of his life. No creativity. The creativity was not affected. He was very strong at the time, but he was going through things that we saw later on in Pain and Glory. I think it's a very auteur movie, a movie of a creator that is reflecting about creation. It's reflecting about cinema inside cinema and the possibility that cinema is giving you to be God, basically, and create your own universe. He created a character that can change even sexes, and at the same time fall in love with a person that is hurt me. I started with vengeance at the beginning, and then I fall in love with my masterpiece. Out of the blue. The movie is about art and how crazy you can be when you are doing art seriously and you go into yourself in that way. My character had a huge screen in his bedroom. He used to control that woman, and I was thinking, oh my God, I am him, controlling the screen and controlling life and changing life at his will. It was very crazy. But then, with Pain and Glory, it all changed in many different ways, not only for Pedro, who had the need to talk about his youth and his experiences in another time, including his mom. And that was very important for him. He loved his mom more than I can describe, because, put her in his early movies. He was all the time trying to satisfy her. But there was something there that was not solved for him. My character says to the mother, Mother, I am sorry that I am not what I know that you wanted me to be. And that was so emotional, for him he had to break himself in many different pieces. And the thing is that I was coming from a heart attack, and I was very raw at that time. And so emotionally, I totally understood what he was going through. And it was such a beautiful, pleasant experience just to do Pain and Glory together, because it's the time in our 8th movie that we were closer to each other. Yeah. There was something magic on the set that was very difficult to describe, but I don't even know if it has to do with movies or it has to do with life itself. To have the opportunity to play a character that he works for the people, that doesn't have special powers, a normal man that understands the suffering of others and is trying just to be there for them. It was very beautiful. Alegre Alegre is the word in Spanish. It's joyful, but it was very important for me at the time. When I arrived to the United States and I started making movies there, I did the Mambo Kings, and all the Spanish people that were the other actors that were working with me at the time, they said, okay, are you going to stay in America? And I said, I don't know. You know, I may just go back to Spain, continue doing movies there and theater. And if you stay, you're going to be the bad guy. They said that to me. And a couple of years after that, I got a cape and a hat and a mask and a sword. I was the hero of the movie, and the bad guy was blonde and he had blue eyes and he spoke perfect English. And I thought, oh, something is happening here. So I felt very proud for the Spanish community to be that heroic. Now, when Puss in Boots came, of course we mock a little bit Zorro, but think about it. Again, the hero with his accent and being manipulative with those eyes and all that stuff. That movie was for very little kids. In terms of diversity, they saw that the bad guys spoke a perfect English, but the hero didn't. And that was important for the Spanish community just to realize that it doesn't matter how is your accent or how, you know, there are other things that actually are going to describe and define you as a person. And that, you know, in a way broke a little bit those frontiers, those lines that were unbreakable before. You know, and so I'm very proud of that, actually. Those 5 movies that I have done with Puss in Boots and the 2 movies that I did with Zorro, yeah, they are part of my life, yeah. The mathematics, they tell you that you are 66, in my case now. And then, so it's time to look back. I don't know, I just keep going, looking for more mentors for me. But the thing is that, yes, I had mentors in my life. And the ones that actually stayed in me are not the ones that probably taught me the most, but the ones that saw something in me and they treat me with kindness and respect and love. And so when I have kids that come here to the theater to audition for the plays that I am doing, and I need actors and I need singers and whatever, you know, it's very sweet to see them. I try just to help them as much as I can without modifying, you know, the path that they have to follow by themselves. So when I was doing the character, the most interesting part is when I think I know everything, but I don't. And so I offer him something that I think is going to just fulfill his life. And he says, no, I just want to be a writer. What are you talking about? I don't want to be the rest of my life in a kitchen. Forget about that. You know, so and that is, you know, makes me very small. Character just become small again. And I am not a mentor anymore. Now I am somebody hurt because I thought that I knew things and I don't know everything. And so that is a very good example for life. You know, a kid with 22 years old can teach me things. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. In fact, it happens almost every day when I have these young kids coming to the theater and doing things that I said, oh my God, look at this kid, what he's doing. You know, so